This is your Math Gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic. This is example 2, where we're going to evaluate some trigonometric functions using the trigonometric ratio definition. And here's the problem. Find the values of sine theta, cosine theta, and cotangent theta if theta is an angle in standard position passing through the point 4, -5. As a reminder, here's a definition of the trigonometric functions. So if we have an angle in standard position passing through the point xy, and r is the square root of x squared plus y squared, then we can find the sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. For our problem, we're looking for the sine, the cosine, and the cotangent. So back to our problem, we know what x is. X is 4. We know the y is -5. Now we could also draw this angle. It's going to be in quadrant 4, because if you plot that point, it's in quadrant 4. So if you wanted to draw it, it's like over 4 and down 5. It goes something like that. And so there's an angle in standard position, right? Now, as it turns out, even if the angle goes this way, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it goes through that ordered pair, 4 and -5. Okay? And of course, there's many points that angle goes through, but we're just given that particular one. So we also need to find r. Remember, r is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So in this case, x squared will be 16, right? That's x squared. And y squared will be -5 times -5, or 25. So r is the square root of 41. So given that, we're now able to plug in the values for the cosine, for the sine, the cosine, and the cotangent. All right, so let's remember first of all, how they're defined. The sine is defined to be y over r, the cosine is x over r, and the cotangent, right? If you haven't memorized it, you want to eventually memorize it. It's the reciprocal of tangent. Tangent's y over x, cotangent is x over y. So you need to know these. It's like you look it up in the dictionary, that's what it is. You're going to have to memorize some definitions. So these are pure definitions. So let's do the sine of theta. What is y in this case? -5. What's r? Square root of 41. So that is the sine of theta, and you could simplify, you can rationalize the denominator by multiplying the numerator and denominator by square root of 41, and write your answer as -5 square roots of 41 over 41. So that's the sine of theta. Cosine of theta is the x, which is 4 in this case, over square root of 41. And again, we could rationalize the denominator by multiplying by square root of 41 over square root of 41, and that gives us 4 square root of 41 over 41. And the cotangent is just x over y. That's easier. Just 4 over -5. 4 over -5, which we usually just write that as -4/5. Remember, it's just a number. So these are our answers. That's the sine. That's the cosine. And that is the cotangent. I didn't ask for the other trigonometric functions, but you could figure that out yourself. The tangent would just be the reciprocal, which would be -5/4. And the sine would be, the cosecant would be the square root of 41 over -5. You wouldn't have had to rationalize the denominator. And the reciprocal of cosine, that's the secant, that would have been square root of 41 over 4. So if you have one of these, you should be able to get the rest of them. This is your Math Gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic.